This is how I make lemon pudding cake with raspberry sauce and vanilla Chantilly cream. The lemon pudding cakes come out of the oven all puffed up, and after they've had a chance to cool to room temperature, the air escapes them, leaving a delicate self-saucing pudding on the bottom of the jar, and a fallen soufflé-like texture on top that soaks up the raspberry sauce like a sponge. I added a rosette of vanilla Chantilly cream using an easy whipped cream dispenser with a decorator tip. Vanilla Chantilly cream is powdered vanilla sugar added to heavy cream. Served with a demi-tasse spoon, this delicate little pudding is scrumptious and fun to eat. This is how I make 3 single-serving lemon pudding cakes. I carefully grated the zest of a lemon with a kitchen rasp, not to let my fingers get close to the cutting surface. The zest is where all the flavor is. I cut the lemon in half and squeezed out 30 grams of lemon juice into a 125 ml mason jar. I added 60 grams of high-fat cream, the lemon zest, and gave the mixture a little stir. I set the jar aside to allow the cream to absorb the lemon. I scaled 15 grams of stone ground all-purpose flour and set it aside too. I scaled 15 grams of room temperature butter into a small mixing bowl and added 30 grams of cane sugar. In another bowl, I scaled 15 grams of vanilla powdered sugar and separated a large egg between the 2 mixing bowls. I placed the bowl on a towel to help hold the bowl. Whisking a single egg with sugar into a soft meringue takes several minutes. I do this by hand, but mixing the egg can be done using a stand mixer. When I whisk, I want to incorporate air, so I whisk in a circular motion. I use powdered sugar so the sugar is absorbed into the egg faster. Whisking for long periods of time is like exercise. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The egg white and sugar have changed quite dramatically in a few minutes. When soft peaks are easy to form and the eggs look like soft meringue, I set the bowl aside to prepare the rest of the batter. I creamed the butter, sugar, and egg yolk together for 30 seconds and then mixed in the lemon and cream until smooth. I sifted the flour over top of the liquid and gently mixed the flour into the batter. I added the egg whites in 3 additions, folding the egg whites into the batter gently. I do not want to overmix the batter because that would allow the trapped air in the meringue to escape. The trapped air is what gives the pudding its soufflé-like texture. I divided the batter between 3 125 ml mason jars and placed them into a frying pan. I pour boiling hot water in the pan to come halfway up the glass. The water bath allows the batter to cook at 2 different temperatures. The dry heat cooks the meringue into a soufflé on top, while the bottom part that is submerged under water stays saucy-like. I cook the batter in a 325° Fahrenheit oven for 40 minutes. I like to use a frying pan as a water bath because the handle makes it easy to transport the cakes to and from the oven. I do not want to open and close the oven door while the puddings are cooking because that might cause the soufflé to fall before it has finished cooking. A self-saucing pudding should not be undercooked batter. When the pudding is cooked through, it should be lightly browned, starting to crack, and be dome-like on top. I allowed the pudding to cool on a wire rack to room temperature before serving. I made the raspberry sauce by cooking fresh raspberries with honey sous vide style. Into a food saver bag, I scaled about 150 grams of fresh raspberries and added about 15 grams of honey. I want a slightly sweet raspberry sauce, but fresh raspberries do not really need any sugar added. I sealed the bag using a vacuum sealer. The vacuum sealer removes all the air from the bag and creates a watertight seal. I add the sweetened berries to a water bath with an immersion circulator set at 85 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. I let the raspberries cool. The raspberries were mush, so it was easy to separate the raspberry seeds by passing the puree through a fine mesh sieve. A blender could have been used, but I like to remove the bitter raspberry seeds with a sieve instead of blending them into the sauce. Stored in an airtight container in the fridge, the sauce will stay fresh for several days.